All right, welcome back. Happy Monday. This is HashrateUp, a bit of a news roundup from last week. We are recording at 9:40:07. We are currently 41 blocks too slow on this fine Thursday where it is very, very hot in South Africa and I'm sweating just standing here. It's March 12th, so 8 days until the difficulty adjustment comes in at a nice minus 4%. Miners around the world are rejoicing. We are still sitting at 30.59 hash price. And I just wanted to share some of the news stories that piqued my interest last week and get you guys started the right way. HashrateUp, hardware sales, advisory, hosting, and site brokerage. Find new and used ASIC deals through the website and the Telegram channel below. Make smarter decisions with HashrateUp. First up, we have Enscale raising $2 billion for AI infrastructure expansion with Nvidia and Jane Street backing. Enscale, formerly a spin-off out of Bitcoin mining company Archon Energy. We see very noticeable names in this Series C funding: Citadel, Dell, Jane Street, Lenovo, Nokia, Nvidia. So all these big companies, pushing their money or pushing their capital into the AI pivot and looking for those companies who have access to power, access to PPAs, are not held back by the grid constraints. We see noticeable names also on their board: former Meta Chief Operating Officer Sheryl Sandberg, former Yahoo President Susan Decker, and former UK Deputy Prime Minister Nick Clegg joining board of directors at the company. And again, I've highlighted the Bitcoin part here. The Enscale roots trace back to the Bitcoin mining industry. The company was spun out of crypto infrastructure operator Archon Energy in 2024, part of a broader wave of firms repurposing expertise developed in power-intensive Bitcoin mining towards the fast-growing market for AI compute. So it's not just power infrastructure, but it's also knowledge, how to handle these big power contracts and everything around that make these companies that were firmly into Bitcoin very attractive for this pivot to AI, very attractive to this capital. Now, last week, we saw the 20th million Bitcoin mined. It took 16 years for the first 20 million. It'll take another decade for the last million to be mined, for the last 5%. Bitcoin is becoming extremely scarce, and I have my doubts that the wider market even understands how this works or how scarce Bitcoin really is going to be. And I think we're going to see a lot of scrambling for sats over the next couple decades as more and more people realize how valuable Bitcoin really is and how scarce it has become. BitX, solomining.de, got it. Premium, made in Germany. You want to go fancy? Go for NerdX or NerdQX++ for a lot of power. Worldwide shipping. Check out solomining.de today. Next up, a very interesting story for me when it comes to mining. Foundry expands into Zcash mining pool as Bitcoin hash price slides. This is interesting because it sort of tells the broader story of how the market currently works, right? We have $30 hash price. Big miners negotiate low fees. It's a race to the bottom on that front because the PPS pools really provide very similar services. And then, you have dollar-denominated costs. You've got wages, you've got lawyer costs, you've got infrastructure costs, all denominated in dollars. And if hash price is at 30, also the pools are sweating because now the percentage of the Bitcoin mined on their pool is worth less, and they have to make do with less as well. So now Foundry, one of the biggest mining pools that we have out of the US, is looking at Zcash, becoming a Zcash mining pool. Next up, Google Backstop backs TeraWolf shift from Bitcoin to AI infrastructure. Google has agreed to provide $3.2 billion credit backstop to TeraWolf and take an equity stake in the company. Again, another huge name jumping into a company that was formerly all Bitcoin mining. Very interesting. Take this with a grain of salt. It's probably written by AI and was reviewed by Bailey Pemberton at Simply Wall Street. Now, my favorite story for last week was the following. Eskom has big Bitcoin plan in South Africa. Eskom, the biggest and only power distributor and power generator. I'm not sure if it's the only one depending on municipality, but power generation and distribution in South Africa is a monopoly by Eskom. Eskom is the state-owned company that runs that, and they have now said that they want to sell surplus daytime energy to Bitcoin miners. And I'm always a bit on the fence when it comes to these negotiations or these deals when governments are involved, because oftentimes what happens in these negotiations is that the power producer and distributor doesn't really understand how much money Bitcoin miners can afford to spend. And also they don't understand truly the position oftentimes of being in a position where they can either sell it for something or nothing. And oftentimes the dollar signs pop into their eyes. And then there's sort of, there's a bit of a reality check where Bitcoin miners say, hey, like, we can maybe afford a third of what you are envisioning. And it's really about, us being the only demand of last resort that sets the price here, or else you can't really sell the power. And then the fact to be added that Bitcoin mining is a global industry and Bitcoin miners can go anywhere. However, I really hope this goes forward, because I would really love to start a small operation here that makes use of Eskom power during certain hours of the day where it comes extremely cheap. There's a lot of surplus here, energy. There's a lot of grid backlog. And so this might be really, really nice going forward. Let's see what comes of this. I'll make sure to follow this very closely. That being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Let me know if you like these. See you later.